Welcome back. So this is mission 2 in the Attrition campaign. Again, obviously the same regiments are fighting each other again. What are the odds? So the Soviets, this sector, weren't able to break through the German lines. Again, they're attacking through the swamps this time, trying to find a way through. And this regiment from the 20th Panzer Division is there to stop them yet again. So this recording is all done post-battle, and only now I'm being made aware that the 20th Division only affects the infantry. So what I'll be doing is, after I've done all this recording, I'll be going into my regiment list and taking away all the 20th Division negatives off all the stuff that isn't infantry, and hopefully I have enough reinforcement points to actually do that, and then spend what I can to reinforce my stuff, and then therefore any games after my battle list will be done properly. So it's a bit of a shame that the 20th Division is like that, but it does kind of make sense now, I suppose. So let's have a look at the regiment lists before we look at the map and then the lists for the game. So as you can see, the Soviet regiment took quite a bit of a beating first game, but they still have quite a lot in their reserve pool, so they have their Commissar HMG teams and enough basically to have an infantry platoon, and one reserve point because it was spent to bring their T-34s back up to decent strength because they're needed for today's game. So we'll have a look at how my regiment is looking, and then we'll go into more of the game details for today. Okay, so my regiment, I haven't really touched anything yet. Basically, I'm waiting to take some casualties with the infantry for the reserve pool, and I'll just do some mix and matches to bring companies up to full strength. So therefore, I haven't spent any reserve points yet, not needed, luckily. So looking good for me at the moment, and I should be able to maybe mitigate the 20th Division costs, but we'll see that beginning the next battle, where you'll see the updated regiment lists. Okay, so here's today's mission, Hammering the Lines. This is from the Soviet Bagration book, part of the Link campaign that we've overlaid over. So played it before, has featured on my channel, this mission. It's quite fun. There's a lot of defences for the defender, and it's a tough game. It'll be Soviets will be hard pressed, hopefully, to break through. Okay, so this is the Soviet company list going into game 2, and you can probably notice no artillery. So will this be a big mistake by regiment, not giving artillery down to this regiment, to this company battalion? They've got a lot of tanks though, and we also have KVs making their debut in any form, but these are flame KVs, and then we have a engineer sapper battalion. So these guys are pretty tough. Will be very good going over the barbed wire and minefields, but some artillery would have been helpful for Sherry today. Okay, so here we have the T-34 battalion, so non-heroes. So we have one HQ, these are 85 millimeters, and then we have 2 platoons of 6. These are Soviets, these are actually companies of 6, and that is the tanks. Okay, and then here are the sappers. We have 3 companies of 8, and 2 of them are equipped with flamethrowers, and they have Panzerfaust as well. And then we have the HQ, and remember, these guys have their body armor, so if they're hitting assaults, they get a 6 up, feel no pain. And here are the beasts, 5 KV flame tanks. So these guys are front arm and line. They are hit on 2s though, but basically at long range, the only real threat are going to be 88s. They should be able to shrug off mostly anything else at long range, but then when they're short range, the flamethrowers are coming into play. But they are a bit slow, so it's going to take some time to get into grips with the Germans. And just the one command card, so that's make your own luck. As you've seen before, very effective, especially against pack fronts when you have to re-roll your firepower. So just get to burn it up straight away, and you can take out a pack front. And taking out a pack front for basically a cost of 1 point isn't too bad. Okay, so this is the company list I've put together for my company commander Richard, and of course I'm his regimental officer. To my shame, this list is now no longer legal because it should cost quite a few points more since it only affects the grenadiers, the infantry platoons. But at least I know that now, and we can correct that mistake for future games. So just the one formation, and I'm using the blocking force platoon because they don't count towards your 60% starting force, and I think that's pretty good because then you get another infantry platoon down on the table, and their counterattack is better than the 20th Division, which is nice. Okay, so these are the legal ones that are 20th Division with the effect. So we have a HQ with its half track, a platoon with their half tracks, and then we have just a Panzer Grenadier platoon, but they do have a Panzerschreck included as well. Okay, and here is the illegal section of the list. To my shame, there's so many of them, but again, sorry Sherry and Mike. So basically we have 6 7.5 centimeter half tracks, 4 Stugs, 3 Pak 40s, and 4 heavy machine guns, and they will be going into machine gun nests. Okay, here's the support. So we have the blocking force, which will be one of the command cards. We have 3 Nebs with an OP. We have 2 Marders, 2 Pumas, and 4 AA 8.8 centimeter guns, and they will be the pack fronts. So here are my command cards today. So it's the Speva band. No doubt I'm pronouncing it wrong, but give me a like if I did it though. And then obviously we have the 20th NCO shortage, which has been used completely correctly this game. And then we have machine gun nests and pack front, and the idea of taking MG nests and pack front, just that good spread. And it's actually quite good since the Soviets didn't even have artillery this game. So as you can see by the 2 lists, even without their points mess up, is a tricky game for the Soviets with all those guns and MGs. Be interesting to see what it would have taken differently. Probably a few less Stummels. Yeah, that's probably what would have happened, I hope. So let's have a look at the map. So here's today's map. I rolled to generate this map with the Axis of Attack campaign thing for the Eastern Front. So a lot of swamps, basically, which is quite fitting since the Soviets did attack through swamps, and that's why there's an old Soviet gauge railway going through this map. So the crop fields you can see here, we're using them as reeds, so just some short terrain, but with cross checks, just because there wasn't much terrain concealment, and I thought it'd be hard, especially with the gun line. And then towards the right of the map, there's an old abandoned factory village that was used to be on this railway line, and that is it. So quite an interesting map, different to before, and going through the middle, that is a stream, so no cross checks, but will slow down tanks. And the 2 ponds are going to be impassable. The water is going to be impassable, but they can go on the banks if they want. And that's it. So, well, I think it's time for the oracle. Okay, so the oracle today is predicting a German victory, and so write that down, make note. And she did go wrong last game, and the funny thing is Lucas asked me mid-game who she predicted, and I said it was him, and then after that all his dice rolls just fell to pieces. So we're not going to tell anyone who she predicted this time, because I don't know, it's just must be some twist in luck, but I'll keep a secret to myself until the end of the game. Okay then, so we have deployment and we have people in the war room, so it's nice to have people in. So, as Sherry, force Sherry into the corner. So we have German deployment, we have quite a mix of everything here. So we have the MG spread around in their nests, likewise with the pack fronts. And then we have a 2nd platoon from the formation here with the HQ behind. And then we have the Speva band here. The Pak 40s are in the forest here with the Marders right behind. Nebs are hidden back here, and their OP is spotting for them. So in the ambush, we have the armoured 7.5cm guns, and the rest of the force is in reserve. And yes, we've been able to put a little bit more because the spur of the band don't count towards the 60%. Sherry has a unit of T-34s in reserve, and this is how we've gone deployed. So we have the platoon with the HQ here, and then we have 3rd platoon, 2nd platoon and 1st platoon of the engineers with the KV flame tanks behind and the HQ behind. So Sherry has first turn. Good luck to both of you, best of luck, and off we go. Okay then, so we have movement. So the T-34 is just bunched up a bit, moving forward because there's a lot of barbed wire. And then we have 3rd platoon over here. It did follow me, and they're in quite a lot of barbed wire. A few got snagged, but they can clear that next turn. KV's moved up. As you can see, 2 of them didn't get into the bog. This was with a cross here as well. And then 2nd and 1st are veering over here because there's a massive template by here. One unsuccessful follow me with 1st platoon, 1st company, but they are in the barbed wire, so they can clear as well. So we don't have any shooting with the Soviets because everything moved up quickly. These guys did do a tactical, so we see if they've got any lines of sight on the guns, and then we'll go into Richard's turn if there's no shooting. Okay, so there was a little bit of shooting. So these T-34 85s fired at the pack front. Did get 1 hit, but luckily Richard passed his save. And that is it. So now we're going into German turn 1. Okay, so German motivation, ambush is not in and no reserves yet, and that was it for the Germans. There's no artillery for the Soviets to pin them. So, German movement. Okay, so this Richard doesn't like this company over here. He ranged his nebs on them, and then the MGs and one of the platoons fired. They lost 4 guys actually, so I wasn't very good, and both of them are pinned. The T-34s over here only got a bailed out tank, but the KVs have been hammered by the 88s. 3 dead, 1 bailed, and 1 active. And then over here, no casualties and only sporadic hits from the machine gun nests. So that is it for turn 1 for the Germans. So now we're into turn 2 for the Soviets. Okay, Soviet motivation. Everyone unpinned, and this is the only guy who did not get back in his tank, but luckily they passed their last stand, so that's quite good. So now Soviet movement. Okay, so Soviet movement, so there has been a gap has been breached in the barbed wire here, so the T-34s are starting to make their way through. Over here, more barbed wire has been cleared, and the 1st platoon is moving to get rid of some minefields on the flank, so some T-34s might be able to get in next turn. So that is quite good going over here, but one of the idiots did trigger the minefield, so the unit's pinned, but he did survive, so no doubt he'll get talking to with the commissar later. So that is it. So now there might be some shooting from the T-34s. Everything else is out of range, but Soviets really missing some artillery, so Sherry's going to have a go to regimental officer, and yeah, maybe point the commissars in his way as well. So let's get some shooting done. Okay, so the only firing, the T-34s fired at the pack front. They got 3 hits on it, and Richard failed 2 of his saves, and then Sherry basically killed it twice because she had to re-roll the firepowers, but she got it. No need to use the make your own luck for this one. So there's a nice bit of an opening on this flank here. So now we're going to German turn 2. Okay, so German motivation, there was really none. Ambush not in yet, and we have the unit of Stugs have moved behind the hill. So now we're going into German movement. Probably the only thing we'll see moving are the Marders doing a blitz move, if anything. Yep. So we'll get back to you on that. Okay, so German shooting is starting to get a bit better. The HQ tank got popped, but then the HQ managed to get in and occupy this tank, but then he himself got bailed out by a Marder. The MGs and this platoon, just the MGs managed to get rid of quite a few guys down to this platoon. There's still 3 left, so they'll be okay. Second platoon now are down to last standing because of machine gun nests and infantry, and first platoon are pinned by the Nebs, but not so many casualties on them. And the KVs have started passing their armour saves against the flak 88s, bounced both hits that hit them, so looking a bit promising for the Soviets going into their turn 3. Okay, so the KV is back in and the HQ is back in. Basically, first platoon did not unpin, which is a problem, so they can't clear those minefields. And second platoon has had enough; they've gone back. But there's a lot of fire coming in from the Germans, and it's trying to wither this storm at the moment. So it's movement, and these guys are going to be trying to dig in because that's the best thing they can do. So Soviet movement. Okay, Soviet movement. The T-34s are moving up. They are in assault range of the MGs here, so they're not going to be able to do much. Flamethrower has moved up to be nasty to these grenadiers, and the KVs did a terrain dash, cross country to the edge of the river, and then passed to follow me. So 2 5s motivations this turn, and then first company have dug in over here, and the HQ is behind the rock. So we have Soviet shooting. Okay, so Soviet shooting. The flamethrower managed to get hits here, but they did not get any kills. The T-34s, the ones who couldn't assault, have fired at the Marder, and they bailed him. And these guys have actually managed to get rid of a MG nest. Sherry did use her make your own luck. It's just the fact that these skill on these guys are the 5, so the assault's going to be a bit ropey. So we'll see what happens in the assault phase. No other shooting down the line because these did a dash and these guys dug in and they have SMGs, so too far away. So let's have a look what happens in the assault. Okay, so the assault went decent for the Soviets. They didn't get any hits in the assault, but the counterattack for the MG nest was a 5 because it's 20th Division, and they got 2, so they surrendered. And that's it. So now we're going into a German turn 3. Okay, so German motivation could have been better. So these guys unpinned, but that lone Marder who got bailed did not get back in, and then they failed their last stand. So, because this is that attrition campaign, I have to buy these guys back again. Damn it. So that happened, and the armoured grenadier platoon is coming in from reserve. So we'll do German movement, and then we'll see where we're all at. Okay, German movement. The Stugs passed a blitz move on a 4+.
Can I pop this to the rear?
Okay, yeah, and then that half track's going to the rear because Richard knows Sherry can reduce the VPs for that. So yeah, he's gone, and then the half tracks have moved into cover back here, and that is German movement. So now we're going to shooting, and just a point, I'm going to put an amendment into the attrition rule. So if these guys were to die and fail their last stands, therefore causing the formation to break, the unit that isn't last standing, each individual will do a last stand test, and the ones who pass will be added to the reserve pool. Otherwise all these would go, and I think that makes sense in terms of they kind of mentally shocked that their company is gone, but some individuals might choose to fight on in another company, and others just need to go back for treatment, which might be different for different countries, but definitely would work with the Allies. So we've agreed that with these two, and I'll get Tom to make an edit, and I'll put a final edit once the campaign's done, because we're getting edits every week thanks to Tom. So that is German movement, and now German shooting, and brutality is going to be a word. Well, I say that Richard's dice have been a bit shocking to hit. Okay, so we will see what happens. Okay, so the T-34s, only one has been bailed because mad things happened. The KVs got hit a couple of times where they bounced all the shots. The only big problem was third company have been completely wiped out. But yeah, now we're going to German turn 3. But the good thing is the Stugs did pass their shooting scoot, so they can't be fired at, so that's good. Sorry, Soviet turn 4. So Soviet motivation, the T-34 is back in. These guys have unpinned, and we have the T-34s coming in from reserve. So, as Richard said, game on. Okay, so Soviet movement. The engineers here managed to get rid of the minefield, so the T-34s rolled in. The KVs did a successful blitz move and then tactical, so they can flame this guy. And then these guys have remained stationary, so they can fire at the 88 and other objects. So we'll do that, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so Soviet shooting, these T-34s have got rid of the other pack front. These guys weren't able to, but the KVs managed to toast the guy who was in range and pin that platoon. And that is it. So now we go into German turn 4. German motivation, straightforward. That platoon over here has managed to rally, and the Pumas are coming in for reserve. No ambush yet. They are really being held on as a vital strategic asset at the moment. So, German movement probably won't be much, but it'll probably be a blitz move going up here again. So, let's see where they end up. Okay, German movement. The Stugs again have passed the blitz move, and the Pumas have just gone behind the hill as well. The armoured grenadiers have dismounted, so some have gone to the house and some are going behind the rubble piles for cover, and the half tracks have gone to the rear. So we have German shooting, so hopefully it's better than last turn. Okay, so the Nebs have managed to pin the sappers over here, and the 88s only managed to pop one of the KVs because they're just bouncing everything. And the T-34s are down to 3 bailed out tanks, including the HQ, and that is from everything firing at them, the packs and the Stugs, who failed their shoot and scoot. So now we're into Soviet turn 5. Okay, so the Soviets all back in, unpinned, last stand passed, good to go. Flame on, as we're going to say, because of the flamethrowers. So, here they go. Okay, so Soviet movement. These T-34s in the HQ moved into assault range on the guys here. And then we have this lot here, stationary to try and get rid of 88s. And then the other flame tank is going for this 88 over here. So that is where we end Soviet movement. So, let's see if there's less 88s on the board. Okay, so this 88 almost got taken out by the T-34s, and then the other one has got toasted by this tank here. These guys didn't take enough hits to pin them, but Sherry is going in. So let's see what happens. Okay, so basically what happened was one of them got bailed out by a Panzerfaust, and oh no, we will have to do a firepower on him because you can't equal it. But no kills from the T-34s, but Richard failed his counterattack because it's a 5+ with 20th Division. So we'll do a firepower on this guy to see if he dies. Otherwise, the T-34 is looking quite good to contest this objective. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so this platoon here passed their motivation, and the Stummels are popped in their ambush. They were here all along, so they just across this river was the halfway point, so that was enough to get them all in this field and 4 inches away. So yeah, how the T-34s didn't see them in that field. They must have been, well, it's actually not a field, it's a swamp, so they must have been submerged. Okay, so now we've got German movement, so they can probably get rid of these T-34s, we would hope, this turn. So then it'll just be operation get rid of the KV and then move on to get rid of this HQ and the engineers, and it will be a wrap. So, German movement. Okay, so German movement. Stugs remain stationary. Second platoon moved into assault range with the HQ. First platoon has occupied the rest of the buildings, and one of the spare band has gone into the side of the KV in case the 88 can't kill it. So we have German assaults lined up, and we are going shooting first. So the turn. So basically all these are dead. The HQ is bailed, so he will be killed in the assault. The KV is just bailed and he will be killed in the assault. And the Pack 40s didn't bother firing at them because this has already happened, and infantry in the way. They fired at the engineers and killed one of them. So it'll be end of the turn. These are dead. He's dead, and then it will be Soviet turn 6.
Okay, so Sherry's turn. She has moved her units back to go into the pull back mode. So if they're in a deployment in this rules, they do a skill check, they can pull back away so they're not in danger of dying. So they went there, and the engineers did that with a follow me. So not quite in a deployment, but Richard, going into his turn, has decided he is not going to chase after them and leave the Soviets go away. So Richard has only lost the Mardas because everything else was independent units, so that is a stunning victory to the Germans. Sherry, although your units were without artillery and smoke, they fought valiantly. Notable man of the matches all over the board, really. Who will you pick, though?
I would say the T-34s.
The T-34s here,
Yeah.
They did extremely well. They really thorn in the side for Richard, and the amount of firepower they absorbed and just shot back was staggering.
Held up an entire flank on their own, yeah.
Yeah, if they had smoke to cover them, yeah, it would have been a lot better, and artillery to pin down guns would have been a bit better. Richard, yours?
Probably something boring like maybe my Flak 88s that took out these ones early game.
Yeah, these. So I think it was this one alone here.
Yep.
He killed that guy, bailed that guy, and probably got quite a few of them over here. But yeah, so the Flak 88, the lone last standing Flak 88. So last thing we're going to do now is, these guys are okay to run away, but we're going to do the 6 last stand checks on the 6 T-34 85. So roll 6 dice, Sherry. Luckily their last stands are a 3, so how many of them will go to the last battle? So just roll 6, so we'll just do it by here. So only the 1 will die, so 5 will be available next game. I think that's fair. This is what we'll do when a formation breaks, is every single team will do a last stand check, and the ones who fail their physical, maybe, and not continue. So that's it. So we'll take pictures of the man of the matches and catch you next game. So Soviets losing some guys and points, so it'll be interesting to see how the attrition will affect, probably not next game, but the game after.
Okay, so don't go yet. We'll just have a little review of how the regiments stand at this game, and then beginning the next game we'll see how we spent our points. So as you can see, the Soviets taking some casualties. We'll take some doing to replace this lot. So we'll have a little look what they got in their reinforcement pool. So still got a decent amount in their reserve pool. They can bring those 2 T-34s out and just have a big platoon of them, so they can have 7. Got 11 reserve points, so they can spend something, but not a lot. So plan is for next game is I might take a bit more armor, and hopefully with the lack of tanks I might be able to mow down the Soviets a bit more and basically create as many casualties as possible. Okay, so Germans, I do have a decent amount in my reserve pool. I don't feel any need to move anything around yet. It's not quite needed. Got plenty of reserve points, but that will be spent to correct the 20th Division. And I will be buying some stuff. I will be buying another Speva band and pack fronts, because I have, as I mentioned, plans for next game, because next game is breakthrough. Again defending, but I think this is the time for the Panzer IV Company to come out and play. Obviously I will at some point have to buy some more Mardas and 88s, but at this point not too bad. Still holding strong, but we'll see at the start of next game what the points look like after I've actually corrected the 20th Division. So yeah, so this is the end of this video. So I suppose if you've got time, crack on to game 3, and hopefully that'll be enjoyable. And also we've corrected as well, we've changed the rules, so when a formation breaks, the unit that leaves each team does an individual last stand test, and if they pass, they go into the reserve pool, as you can see with the Soviets and their T-34s that managed to get themselves back to regiment. We just feel that some guys will work their way back to their lines to fight again, and some won't. So it's guys with bad last stands won't be, which is kind of expected. So hope you enjoyed that one, and the best